going to get tea. It's Stephanie White. She has had enough of what she has seen from the officials here today. Understandable frustration from Stephanie White.
Couple of possessions in a row where Leah Boston got the fouls. I thought the first one should have been on Howard. And then here, as Petty's in there, Philman kind of tosses her to the side a little bit, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back there.
Going to get tea. It's Stephanie White. She has had enough of what she has seen from the officials here today. Understandable frustration from Stephanie White. Couple of possessions in a row where Leah Boston got the fouls. I thought the first one should have been on Howard. And then here is Petty's in there. Philman kind of tosses her to the side a little bit, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back there. What's worse, going into Game 1 missing 6 players or seeing the referees tilt the floor against you in the biggest moment of your season? That's exactly what the Indiana Fever dealt with against the Atlanta Dream. And you could feel the frustration boiling over. Stephanie White went off and literally got a technical foul for saying what every fan was already thinking. So, how does a team held together by tape and grit keep fighting through injuries and officiating chaos? Was it really bad luck or something that felt a whole lot more like sabotage? Stay with me because what happened in Game 1 has fans furious, players livid, and the entire league buzzing about whether the Fever were robbed. Do you think the Fever was robbed by the refs? Let us know down in the comments below. Players they have. So, Caitlin Clark, Chloe BBY right there on the bench, but then you have Sophie Cunningham, Sid Carlson, Aari McDonald, all actually having to sit separate from the bench. You also have Dyrus Dennis. Imagine walking into the playoffs missing half your rotation before the ball even tips. How do you even try to compete? That's the exact nightmare the Indiana Fever faced. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 players. You want to talk about bad luck? Caitlin Clark's groin injury was already a season ender. Chloe Bibby's knee took her out. Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Carlson were gone with their own knee problems. Aari McDonald was sidelined with her foot. And just to make the cut even deeper, less than 24 hours before Game 1, Dyrus Dantas was slapped by concussion protocol. That's 6 players who should have been suiting up. 6 rotation pieces stripped away. And yet this team still had to step onto the floor against a dream roster that was fully loaded and waiting. We got the injured reserves here with you guys, which last month, they just weren't able to travel. What does that mean to you specifically just having them there? Yeah, I was super excited. I think just looking at the injured squad itself, they just have a lot of knowledge, and so for us just being able to listen to them, taking what they see, cause obviously just them watching is going to be a different view than us on that court. And so super happy to have them with us. How is that fair to the players or the fans? Indiana fought through this exact kind of punishment all season just to secure the 6th seed. They scratched and clawed their way through months of lineups shuffled together like a puzzle missing entire pieces. And instead of being rewarded with a clean slate for the playoffs, they showed up in Atlanta with more names on the inactive list than some teams have on their bench. Obviously, the injured players, they haven't been able to travel, some of them, but most of them are here now. How do they help kind of from a culture-wise and with just bringing some perspective with you guys? Yeah, we miss them every day on the court. So to be able to have them we had our plane front of our plane, normally we have empty seats. It was filled on the way here. So they bring energy, they bring light, they bring their vocal leaders, all of them. So to have them on this trip is huge. And I don't know how we're going to fit everyone on the bench. It's not that long. It's been packed recently. So I'm excited to see how we figure that out. But it'll be great to have them back with us. And speaking of the bench, it was a sight. The Fever decided everyone was traveling. All 16 players, healthy or not, were there. It was a gesture that screamed unity, but also highlighted the absurdity of their situation. There weren't even enough seats. The main row filled up so fast that players in street clothes had to sit in a second row behind the actual bench like they were waiting for boarding on a flight. You've hit the injury lottery when you can't even fit the whole group along the sideline. They're finally able to travel from a medical standpoint as well. So, I think having the whole group here, having those guys here gives us a little bit of a boost emotionally. And then having their perspective. I mean, you're talking about 3-point guards that are sitting on the sideline that can talk to our team in huddles that can talk to our team, throughout the course of dead balls or when they come on and off the floor. This is where context matters. Think about the other playoff teams. They're bringing out solid second options, reliable players they can rotate when stars pick up fouls or need a breather. Indiana didn't have that. They were leaning on whoever was left standing, patching holes with tape, grit, and prayer. And yet, despite all this, they made the postseason 2 years running. That alone says resilience. Come on, guys. My new team, the medical staff. Oh, yeah. Sophie Cunningham might have summed it up best without even trying. Stuck in rehab for her knee, she joked she's basically part of the medical staff now. It was a throwaway line, but it showed the ridiculousness of the whole season. A starter turned cheerleader cracking jokes to keep spirits up while knowing she should be out there making shots. That's the Fever in a nutshell. Finding ways to smile through the pain. And the wildest part, those injuries didn't stop the team from coming out of the gate swinging in Game 1. They caught Atlanta off guard early and built a lead like they were too stubborn to notice their disadvantages. But of course, it couldn't stay that simple because right when the Fever proved they could hang despite everything, the referees decided to insert themselves and change the direction of the game completely. What the referees did, and I know why Stephanie White got a technical foul. Any coach that had a watch, their team worked so hard all season long, played through every single injuries. And the reason why they had so many injuries is because of these referees. Every playoff game has its swings, but nothing flips momentum faster than a whistle that doesn't make sense. Indiana walked into Atlanta carrying the weight of 6 injured players and still punched first. They jumped out to a 15-6 start with Kelsey Mitchell drilling shots early and Aaliyah Boston doing what she does best, dominating the glass and clogging the lane. The Fever were locked in, playing like a team that had no intention of letting their shorthanded roster define the night. For a moment, it felt like the impossible was about to happen. A broken roster threatening a healthy dream squad. And then the officiating started to bleed the energy out of the game. Ryan Howard just falls down, but it's a foul. Like, this is ridiculous. Look at this. Kelsey Mitchell. They don't even let the Fever play defense cause she's associated with Caitlin Clark. Look at this one. Another foul where nobody touched him. So, they lost the timeout and they lost their challenges for the game because the referees can't do their job. That early rhythm was disrupted by whistles that came out of nowhere. Defensive stops that should have turned into fast breaks instead became free throws for Atlanta. Clean contests were marked as fouls. Mitchell and others would fight through screens to keep the Dream from getting clean looks, only for the play to be stopped and reversed by a call that didn't add up. And it wasn't just a single mistake. It repeated over and over, draining the urgency Indiana had built at the start. The referees took it over. Look at this. Everybody saw this. Lexi Hall didn't touch her, but they had to waste their first challenge on this play. Here we go. Look at this. She gets elbowed in the face. Elbowed in the face. And they call a foul on Brianna Turner. And then Lexi Hall turns around to go back on defense, but she gets charged for a foul. And they wanted to upgrade it, reviewed it. Lexi Hall became one of the big victims of these phantom calls. She was tagged with a foul on Ryan Howard despite being in perfect defensive position. Nowhere near illegal contact. Coach Stephanie White challenged it and the replay confirms what everyone watching already knew. There was no foul. She had to burn one of her challenges in the first quarter, something no coach ever wants to do that early. White later admitted it was very frustrating to win 2 challenges that fast because it proved the referees were clearly missing things, but she didn't have unlimited chances to correct them. She had to spend both challenges by the second quarter just to keep her players from being buried under bad officiating. Look at this. Boston gets elbowed in the face by Brittany Gurrier. Do you think they called it? No. Look at this. Lexi Hall did not touch her. Didn't even touch her, and she gets free throws. Here we go. Kelsey Mitchell touched her hip lightly. Meanwhile, Atlanta's physicality was allowed to run unchecked. Fans watched Brianna Jones throw an elbow into Brianna Turner or Brittany Griner shove into Aaliyah Boston on post-ups, and nothing was called. The inconsistency made every possession a gamble. If Indiana put a body on someone, it was a foul. If Atlanta did it, play continued. That type of lopsidedness doesn't just show up on a scoreboard. It chips away at confidence, focus, and rhythm. Lexi Hall gets thrown out of bounds. No foul, right? Remember that play. Okay, Boston foul. But look at this. So, she goes for the ball and then they call a foul.